Hello everyone and welcome to this video. In this video we're going to be taking a look at the TakeOver for the PC. The game was developed and published by Pelican 13 and was released in 2019. The game is a side-scrolling beat-em-up which takes many inspirations from past fighters like Streets of Rage, Final Fight, Mortal Kombat and many more. However, is the game any good though? Here's a beatdown on this game. The game's plot has your daughter being kidnapped and has a city being under control of a criminal gang. Now it's time to take them both back, via punching, lots of punching and kicking too, followed by headbutts and then followed with gunfire. It's a fairly simple but highly enjoyable plot which is told throughout the game via in-game action or throughout the beautifully drawn comic book style artwork in between. Character-wise, the takedown gives you the choice of 4 playable characters to mess around with each one of them being different and having their own set of moves and combos to learn. However, some people feel that these characters might feel strangely familiar, in a sense that while these characters are meant to be their own individual characters, they do borrow heavily from past other inspirations from other fighting games. Ethan, for example, is a mixture of Axel from Streets of Rage with bits of Cody thrown in from Final Fight. He has a moveset that feels similar to both characters, and he also has stances as well which look quite familiar too. The same is for Megan, who feels like a mixture of Blaze and Chun-Li with her moveset and so forth. It's kind of like how Fighting Force had its own cast of characters, but they were heavily influenced by existing other characters from past other games. So whilst the crew in this game may have a few things in common with other characters, they still feel like their own individual creations, with Megan being the mother fighting to get her daughter back, Connor being the soft-hearted meat-headed muscle guy, and even being the strong but quiet type. With the gameplay for the takeover, I'm going to assume that the viewers out there have already played past side-scrolling fighters like this before, be it from games such as Final Fight, Streets of Rage, Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, and many more which I could mention. I'm going to assume that people out there who are listening have played those games in the past. The gameplay here for this game is essentially identical, with you going from stage to stage, beating anyone who gets in your way, and at the end of each stage you'll fight a level boss. The real surprise here is that the developer has also added some special stages where you drive around in a car, shooting down criminals in vans whilst trying to avoid other drivers. Then another surprise comes along when you're in an F-15 jet shooting down aerial bogies, just like in the old classic Mega Drive game Afterburner. These were something which I wasn't expecting to find in this game and they really threw me off, but I absolutely loved them. It's very clear from the gameplay that the Mega Drive and SNES console plays a big part in this developer's life, and that these stages that were added into the game really meant something to them. The Takeover's graphics are created using the Unity engine, and from what I've been told, most of everything is made from scratch. There are a few resource materials used here and there, but for the most part everything was made from the beginning. The gameplay plays in 2.5D, with the characters and stages being 3D rendered, but with them being on a 2D plane where you can move up and down. Graphics switch from the 3D rendered animations to beautifully drawn comic book art style artwork when crossing over from stage to stage and when telling the game's story. Really, the only negative comment that I could give about the game's graphics are that they could possibly do with a few more frames of animation. An example of this is how awkward Megan looks when she removes her jacket, or how sometimes when particular throw moves are done, it just looks like how a couple of steps have been missed. The stages for the game are generally what you would expect them to be like for this type of game, if you have played past fighting games like this before when you were younger, when you had a Mega Drive or a SNES. However, expect a few references in this game from other games to show up just to throw you off and then leave you grinning. Be it from Sonic Adventure's Orca Whale, to the pit stage of Mortal Kombat 1, to others which I'm not really going to say because I don't want to spoil the surprise, but I'm pretty sure that when you do recognise these, you will instantly be left with a smile on your face. Well, if you have been looking at the game and have been curious about buying it or not, I will simply say this. I grew up with these type of games as a child, and you don't really get that look or feeling of nostalgia with newer games in today's era. But when I played this game, I felt like I genuinely had some of my childhood back again, and that's only previously happened before with Sonic Colors, since it's the only real good 3D Sonic game which manages to capture the essence and feel of what the Sonic game is all about. This game does exactly the same thing, and it leaves me with that exact same feeling I had when I first played Final Fight in a dark and dingy arcade in Blackpool, or when I first booted up Streets of Rage 1 on my Sega Mega Drive. The game isn't perfect, and it does need a little work being added to it in a few places here and there to finish it off, but considering that a team practically smaller than the amount of fingers on my hand can be counted made this game, it really is something to be quite amazed at, and even more so when you look back and realise that at the very early beta testing of this game, how good it was then to how good it is now. The Takedown is being worked on at present, as the developer wants to try and port it to the other consoles, be it the PlayStation, Switch or Xbox Live. Once this is done, they might go back and add a few more features such as additional weapons, unlockables, maybe a possible DLC add-on later down the line. We just don't know 100% yet, as the game's main focus at the time of this recording is porting the game to other systems. If I was to have only one really negative comment about the game, it would be that the game doesn't at this present time have a co-op online option. And I don't know if this is something that will be worked on in the future and fixed, as the developer himself says he isn't really sure how to add this into the game. So at present, if you do buy this game, you can't play online with friends. You can only play if they're sat next to you and you're both running from the same machine. I hope that this is improved on and fixed in the future, but for now, we just don't know. Would I recommend the Takeover to viewers out there? Yes, I definitely would. Well, that's it for this review, guys. Thank you for listening, thank you for watching, and please subscribe.